Hey guys, welcome back to Trading Options Network. Hey look, I know I've been gone for a while, but that's only because I've been spending a lot of time making this video for you guys. I really hope you enjoy it. It's something I haven't done yet. I put a little more comedy into it. I put another secret into it. You guys are going to find out here in a little bit. But again, I spent a lot of time making this video, and I really think you guys are going to really enjoy this video. I can't wait for you guys to see it. It's one of my favorite strategies when it comes to options contracts, which is another reason why I spend so much time taking it. In this case, it's covered calls. Covered calls, in my opinion, is a strategy that pretty much any investor can use, whether you're someone that just holds plain stocks for the long term or you guys are a seasoned options trader. Doesn't matter. Covered calls, I should say, is one of those strategies that, in my opinion, everyone can use to increase their portfolio gains. I really hope and I really do believe that you guys are going to enjoy this video. But that being said, let's go ahead and get into it.
Hi, I'm Tom. Today, we are going to talk to you about covered calls. To get us started, you know him, you love him, the guy that is using me for my good looks. Here's Brett.
Hey Tom, thanks for that awesome and amazing introduction. But let's go ahead and get started. What is a covered call? A covered call is a supplemental strategy a stockholder could implement with the intent to increase long-term portfolio gains. Now no, there are no strategies that are developed to decrease long-term portfolio gains. I just wanted to emphasize the word stockholder. In other words, you cannot utilize this strategy if you do not own shares of stock.
Well, that's very interesting, Brett, but I have a question. Are you saying you cannot sell a call if you do not own shares of stock?
Hey, you know what, Tom? That's actually a great question. And the answer to that is yes, you can. That would be considered a naked call and is very risky.
Hey, where did you get that picture?
No need to worry about that, Tom. So anyways, on with covered calls. In the previous video, what is an options contract? I defined a call as a contract between a holder and a writer that gives the holder the right to buy 100 shares of the underlying stock at a predetermined price by a predetermined date. A covered call, specifically, is the writer's side of the contract where the shareholder agrees to sell their 100 shares of the underlying stock to the call holder at a certain price by a certain date. Now, an individual that's attempting to profit from a covered call will typically not want to sell their shares. The main goal of writing a covered call is to profit from the premium the holder of the call pays for each contract.
That actually makes sense. If I own shares for the long term, I don't want to sell them. But if I can find a way to increase my returns while I hold the shares, why wouldn't I do it?
Exactly, Tom. But let's see how much you really do understand. Let's go ahead and do a role play real quick. In this role play, we're going to use your house instead of shares of stock, and you're going to be the homeowner, and I'm going to be the really rich, annoying investor.
Okay, I can do that. I'm a phenomenal actor. I would have won like 27 Grammys so far, if it weren't for one of the requirements being you had to be a human.
27 Grammys? Well, then I guess I'm going to expect the performance of a lifetime from you. Okay, Tom?
No problemo.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
And action. Brett here. Hey, what's up? Uh-huh. Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, I got you, but hey, I gotta go. I'm gonna go finagle my way into buying this house from these guys. They're not even gonna know what hit them. All right, I gotta go. Later. La-di-da-di-da, la-la-di-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Hi there. I'm Mr. Mechanic, the investment fanatic, but my friends call me Brett, and I can tell you and I are already friends. Listen. You have a beautiful home in a great area with great schools. I have to have it. I have a suitcase full of cash for you now, and I will give you top dollar.
That's certainly nice of you to say, but I'm not interested in selling right now. If you really want my home, it'll cost you.
Hey, buddy, no worries. I got you. According to this, your home's value is about $400,000. Here's $375,000 cash right now.
Well, that is certainly a nice chunk of change, but I'd only be willing to sell you my home for $500,000.
See, that's why I like you. You're a funny guy. But no, for real. Here, I'll give you $380,000 right now.
I'll pass, but I'll tell you what.
Let's make a deal. I'm listening.
I said I would sell you my home for $500,000. Here's a contract I have that states if my house is worth more than $500,000 from now until a future date that I will decide on, I will sell you my home for $500,000, even if it is worth way more than that. If the contract expires, I will also allow you to buy a new contract with a new expiration date, although depending on how the market has changed, the terms of my contract will also change. Do we have a deal?
Man, you drive a hard bargain. But you have yourself a deal. Brett here. Whoa, dude. Decaf. I'll be there in a jiffy. Alright, well hey, I gotta go. But here's my card. It's one of those jumbo cards you get from the jumbo card store, so you don't lose it. I look forward to doing business with you. Sucker.
What?
Oh, nothing. I gotta go. See ya. Bye.
Well, that was weird.
Tom, that was great. I don't know if it was quite Oscar-worthy, but it worked. And I can tell you are learning the stuff.
Thanks. I learn from the best.
Well, that's really nice of you to say, but let's move on. Let's talk about how covered calls work with actual stock. Let's start with the ABC Corporation with ticker symbol ABC. ABC stock has a price of $50 per share.
Let's buy 100 shares, because I learned that an options contract is essentially worth 100 shares of stock from your previous videos.
That's right, Tom. You can sell one covered call for every 100 shares, known as a round lot, that you own. So if you own 599 shares, how many covered calls can you sell?
Well, I would probably try and find a way to buy one more share to make it an even 600 shares so I can sell 6 covered calls, but if you really only had 599 shares, you would only be able to sell 5 covered calls.
Very good. Now let's say our goal is to earn 10% on our shares, which means we would want to sell our shares at $55. We would then sell to open a 55 strike call option.
And because we bought 100 shares, we can only sell 1 covered call.
Right again, Tom. Now for myself, when I sell covered calls on my long-term stocks, I usually sell calls that have about 1 month to expiration, but everyone is going to be different in their strategies, so people can do weeklies, yearlies, or whatever best suits them.
So, if we sold a covered call, can you explain how the premium part works?
Of course. When you buy or sell an options contract, the premium is shown on a per share basis, but remember, an options contract is essentially worth 100 shares. So when you look at the option chain and it says 50 cents, the true value is $50. Let's use that number for our example. We decide to sell 1 covered call at the 55 strike with 1 month to expiration, giving us a 50 cents premium or $50.
So, what now? Are we rich yet?
Whoa, Tom. What do you think we're doing? Some kind of get-rich-quick scheme? Let's go over some more realistic scenarios of how this could play out. Since we sold the 55 strike, when the option comes up to expiration, the stock price will either be greater than or equal to $55, or it could be less than $55. Let's first take a look at if the stock price is greater than or equal to $55. If the stock price is greater than or equal to $55, we would be forced to sell our 100 shares at a price of $55 per share. But my question to you is, what do you think our total gain will be with ABC stock?
Well, let's see. We earned $50 from selling the covered call. Also, we bought 100 shares at $50, then sold those shares at $55, giving us an additional $5 per share. If my math is right, and it is, because I'm a genius, then that would make our total gain $550.
Well, Tom, as always, you are correct. Now, since it seems like you have a great understanding of how this is working, why don't you go ahead and explain the scenario when the stock price is less than $55 at option expiration?
Easy peasy. If the stock price is less than $55 at option expiration, then our call expires worthless, which is exactly what we want for our covered call. Because our option contract expires worthless, we are not assigned and do not sell our shares, hence there is no sell price, and our gain is to be determined because we still hold our stock position. Boom, mic drop, let's go.
I could not have explained it any better myself, Tom. Great job. Now, of course, it is possible that our option can be assigned after our first covered call, but most of the time it won't if we are selling a strike 10% out of the money. Let's say it takes 6 months to hit our target price of $55. If we continued to sell 55 strike monthly covered calls, in 6 months we would have sold 6 total covered calls. To make the numbers easy, we will say our average premium collected from our covered calls was 50 cents. That would give us a total premium after 6 months of $3 or $300 in value. Assuming we are still assigned at $55, our total gain from owning these shares and selling covered calls against them is now $800. It does not take a genius to understand that an $800 gain is better than a $500 gain simply because you have a plan as opposed to just buying and selling shares. Wouldn't you agree with that, Tom?
That's actually pretty amazing. I can't wait to start utilizing covered calls in my own investment strategy. I just want to verify though, assuming you want to keep the shares for the longer term, you can adjust the covered calls for each period, so as the stock price increases or decreases, you can also increase or decrease the strike price of your covered call as well. Is that correct?
See, Tom, you are learning. You're absolutely correct. Once the covered call expires, you are in no way, shape, or form obligated to repeat the terms of the previous contract. In other words, you can increase or decrease the strike price. You can increase or decrease the duration of the covered call, meaning if you wanted to switch to a weekly, you could do that. If you'd rather increase the time of your covered call, you could do that as well. In the end, once the contract expires, you can do whatever you want moving forward.
Excellent. Now can you go over some of the risks of covered calls? I can see there are a lot of benefits to covered calls, but surely there has to be some risks too.
Yes, that is true, Tom. Covered calls will have a risk factor. However, the risk, in my opinion, is negligible. See, if you sell a covered call and the stock itself decreases in value, then you minimize your losses. And anytime you can minimize your losses, that is a win in my book. On the flip side, if the stock price increases in value, well, now you're making money on your shares. The risk is not that you can lose. The risk is that you are putting a ceiling on your gains. Let's look at an example. Going back to ABC stock, your entry point is $50 a share. ABC stock hits your target price, so you buy 100 shares. Simultaneously, because you have a strategy in place, you also sell the 55 strike call option against your shares. Then, prior to the expiration of your covered call, Mr. Fortune 500 CEO comes along and sees ABC Corporation as an asset to his company. He meets with Mr. Average Joe CEO, hands him a bag full of money, buys him out and acquires ABC Corporation, causing the stock price to soar. It hits $60, then $65, and then you see it hit an all-time high of $75. Well, unfortunately, your covered call will prevent you from profiting from this acquisition, and the max gain on your shares is capped at $5 per share due to the 55 strike covered call. Does that make sense, Tom?
It does make sense, but I know those situations don't occur very often, so if you found yourself in that situation, that's just tough luck. In this example, you should be happy with your 10% gain on your shares, plus the premium collected by selling the covered call, and simply move on. At least, that's the attitude I would have.
Tom, that's the attitude you have to have in trading. You cannot be emotional, and when things don't go your way, you just have to shake it off.
That's true in anything you do in life. Shake it off, shake it off, off, shake it off.
Dang, Tom. I thought we were having a moment of wise words and you go all Taylor Swift on me? Come on now.
Sorry, I'm not as good of a singer as I am an actor, let's move on. I can clearly see that if you stick with your plan long enough, eventually, you can make it rain, baby. But what are some other benefits of covered calls?
Fair question, Tom, and yes, if you stick with it long enough, you can make it rain. But I'm going to start with the T-chart. I mentioned earlier that a covered call can act as a hedge against your position, and here's how. Continuing to use our ABC stock, when you buy your shares at $50, that obviously makes your cost basis $50. If you do not know the definition of cost basis, it is in layman's terms the price in which you acquired an asset for tax purposes. Now, please note this is for illustrative purposes only, and your monthly premium collected for selling each covered call will vary. But for this example, I'm using 50 cents for each covered call to make it easy and straightforward. Every time you sell a covered call, you lower your cost basis of your position. So after 1 month in our example, your cost basis is $49.50. After 3 months, $48.50, 5 months, $47.50, and so on and so forth. Theoretically speaking, if you are consistent with your plan and you are never assigned or close your position, you could even work your way to a negative cost basis. How cool is that, Tom?
That's really cool. I want to make it a game, just to see if I can get a negative cost basis.
Yeah, you should, Tom. Turning it into a game would probably even take some emotion out of it. Now, another benefit of covered calls is that they actually act similar to a dividend, in which case you can actually use the premium earned as income similar to the dividend while you're holding your shares. Or you can do what a lot of people do and just simply reinvest the premium. The great thing about collecting premium from covered calls is that it does give you options.
I love this, and the more I learn about it, the more it makes me believe everyone could benefit from this strategy.
Well, I'm glad you like everything so far, but now I'm going to give you a bonus. Remember how when I told you if the stock price is higher than the strike price at expiration, you are forced to sell your shares?
Yes. You have made that very clear.
Well, if you do nothing, then yes, you are forced to sell your shares. However, if you do not want to sell your shares, you can do something called rolling your position.
Oh wow. So you're telling me if the stock goes higher than anticipated, you can prevent assignment. How?
Well, I'm going to use my lovely T-chart and ABC stock one last time. After we bought our shares at $50 and then sold the 55 strike for a 50-cent premium, we come to expiration and realize that the shares are now worth $57 per share. Unfortunately, because we sold the 55 strike, we know we cannot earn more than $5 per share on our long stock position if we do nothing. Well, this is how you can get around that. The definition of rolling a position is closing your current position and opening a new position simultaneously. So in our case, we are going to have to buy to close our current 55 strike call option that we own, and then we are going to sell to open a new contract with the new strike price and a future date. What we want to look for is something with a higher premium than what we are having to pay to close our current position. So in the case of our shares of ABC stock and our 55 strike covered call, because the current value of the shares is $57, we should expect to pay about $2 to close our current covered call. Remember from a previous lesson, we will have intrinsic value. So after looking at the options chain for ABC stock, I came across a 56 strike call with an expiration date about a month and a half out. I had to go a little further than previously. One that will earn me $2.25 in premium. So in the end, I was able to increase my strike, which by definition increases the ceiling that I can sell my shares. I earned an additional 25 cents in premium, and I get to keep my shares. It's a win-win-win situation.
Simply amazing. Just when I thought covered calls couldn't get any better, you dropped this knowledge bomb on us. I will definitely start using covered calls in my portfolio right away.
You know what, Tom? I'm glad I can help.
Well, Brett, I learned a lot today. I want to thank you for teaching me, and everyone tuning in, how to utilize covered calls. In fact, I'm so excited, I poured myself a drink, grabbed my laptop, and I'm going to start strategizing right now.
Not gonna lie, Tom, I had no idea you enjoyed a good cocktail, but you know what? You earned it. Enjoy yourself, Tom. Well, there you have it, guys. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. I did spend a lot of time, as I mentioned before, making this video. I hope it was fun. I hope you guys learned some stuff. If you did, go ahead and share it to your options buddies. Go ahead and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video. You can also find me on, of course, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. That being said, I really look forward to making more content for you guys, and I promise I'm going to be getting more content out, more than one video a month. That being said, again, I look forward to making all this new content for you. If you have any questions, put your question in the comment section of my YouTube video. I want to be able to help you guys as much as possible. That's what I'm here for. I love doing this. I love educating and helping the people understand all kinds of things, but in this case, options. It's a passion of mine, so please, if you do have any questions, let me know. Again, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well. That being said, until next time, you guys have a great